We're here today to pray for those we've lost and for those families that have lost. These people will not be forgotten, and I ask that we don't just come here today and pray and fly our flags. I ask that we continue this for them and for everyone else in our country so that we can have the strength, which we do, to overcome anything that is coming by us and against us to accomplish our freedom and our democracy and our love and our faith in God that no one can take away because it's within our hearts and there's nothing that they can do against that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Concoli. Tonight, we unite to remember and honor the heroes and victims who perished because of the horrific events that took place a year ago today. Tonight, we celebrate the triumph of the human spirit of those who survived the horrific events and for those who lost loved ones a year ago today. The will and dignity of the surviving families, along with our nation's love and resolve, continue to aid us in the healing process. Although we heal, we must never be resolved to forget. It is our duty to ensure that all generations never forget and always remember 9/11. The firefighters, police, EMS, and civilians, the heroes of 9/11, were all ordinary people that did extraordinary things. Garwood has a few of its own heroes here tonight. Gene Kobliska, immediate past captain of the Garwood First Aid Squad, was Garwood's EMS incident commander on 9/11. Please welcome Eugene Kobliska.
If you remember, September 11th started out as a beautiful morning. I drove down the turnpike to Morrisville, Pennsylvania, getting ready for a day of training. And when the news of the first plane hitting the World Trade Center came in, or was announced in the office around 9 o'clock, I knew September 11th would be another day that I would forget. Soon after that news came the news of the second plane striking the South Tower, and then also news of the plane hitting the Pentagon. So when that news started to spread through the office, I knew that my place wasn't at work. It was where I had to be, in Garwood and Cranford. So as soon as I returned back, I knew our services would be needed, but little did I know that by the time I got home, there was a note waiting for me that mobilization called and was Garwood available for mutual aid. As time went on, they went to 3 different staging areas, and shortly thereafter, they shot at Chelsea Piers for about 5 hours. And while they were there, that was one of the triage stations. And they said it was very eerie, because here you are sitting around with doctors, nurses, triage attendants, beds set up, IVs set up, blood hanging from poles, no patients. For a disaster of that magnitude, that's not a good sign, or the outlook is not good for having a lot of survivors. About midnight, our crew was given 3 options. They could go into Ground Zero and assist in the search. They could respond to ambulance calls in Manhattan, and they're not real good with directions in the city, especially those one-way streets. And their last choice was they could stay there, and they did. They stayed till about 3:30 in the morning, when they already had put in almost 12 and a half to 13 hours in the city. So they said that they were being relieved and could come back to Garwood. So they did, but they came back very dismayed because they wanted to help, but yet there was nothing they could do. Very proud to have been of service to those in need that day, and part of one of the largest mobilizations in the state of New Jersey and in the metropolitan area. We're very proud to have been a small part of our state's history, a national and global event. It has affected all of us today, and it probably will so until in the future. We hope that this type of event will never occur again, but we stand by in case that our call comes again. Thank you for all of you who support us.
The fallout from this tragedy has affected so many. The families of the victims, both here and abroad, the co-workers, neighbors, casual acquaintances, and the countless scores of absolute strangers who from coast to coast and across the globe continue to reach out and express their deep sorrow and to offer some comfort to many victims' families their time of pain. Then there were the heroes of the day, the hundreds of policemen, firemen, and emergency response technicians who had absolutely no way of knowing the magnitude of the disaster they were marching into. They only knew thousands of ordinary lives were banking on them. Yes, these modern-day heroes had a job to do, and they did it well, resulting in thousands of lives being saved, and at their expense. Today, all around us, communities are having memorial services similar to ours. The unbelievable difference, though, was the fact that we did not lose a single resident in this community. I believe there was a silver lining to this tragedy. I firmly believe that God has kept the borough of Garwood close to his heart and protected all our community residents. There were those who were near or at ground zero, and those who should have been, but for the grace of God. He allowed all to be accounted for and to return home safe and sound to their families and loved ones. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani suggested each of us do two things to commemorate this day: mourn and celebrate. Mourn the loss of all the victims whose life stories were cut short. Celebrate the rising from the ashes, the survival of their families, our communities, and our country, all of whom have become even stronger as a result. On November 8, 2001, at the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart in Newark, the annual Blue Mass was offered. This Mass was for all law enforcement personnel killed in a line of duty from New Jersey during the previous 12-month period. The celebrant was the Most Reverend John Joseph Myers, Archbishop of Newark Diocese. He offered a prayer in tribute to the 3 officers in the state of New Jersey killed in different venues on different days at the beginning of 2001. And for the 37 officers and 1 canine, all from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, who made the supreme sacrifice on September 11, 2001 at the World Trade Center. Lord, I ask that I may return safely after my tour of duty to my loved ones and those who love me. I pray that I may be a good and honorable police officer, and after my tour of duty is over here on earth, may I enjoy the peace and happiness of heaven that you have promised to those who serve you well. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lisa. Tom Sparrow, Garwood's fire chief, oversaw and delegated his officers and members as they aided various fire departments during the week-long crisis surrounding 911. Please welcome Chief Sparrow.
So 1 year ago today, the entire world went into shock. I mean, we have seen some tremendous things that have happened, all for the good, some for the bad, but this was just something that took me back, and I'm a youngster. Being 44 years old, this was something that I could never fathom. And yet, I have a department, these men and ladies over here, who are willing to give up everything to rush out and help somebody that they don't know what happened, why it happened, and what's going to happen. These men, these ladies gave up their time, they gave up family time, jobs, money, because New York said, hey, I'm a mighty city, but you know what? I need a little bit of help. Did Union County come out? And these people were here in a heartbeat. And we were dispatched out to Staten Island. And we were there for 3 days, and we covered for an engine company and a ladder company. Well, unfortunately, they lost a member on 9/11. And while they were there, we had one of the members whose daughter was home, watching everything on TV, not knowing what's going on with Dad. All that Dad was gone, somewhere in New York, and he he was there to help. And at this time, I'd like to have the Bober family come up. This wasn't planned. I didn't know that they were going to make this big poster. But Lisa Bober, age 12, was sitting home and wrote this poem for her father. It just so happened to enlarge it, too. And I'm going to read it for you. Now, once again, this is Lisa. Now she's 13. You save millions of lives. It's your job that you must do. And in an unappreciated times, you always make it through. We cry, run, and hide from the truth because we don't believe it. And even though the toughest times, your goal, you achieve it. When the great towers of the sky have fallen to the ground, you stay put to help the people and bring hope to all around. In the many lives we've lost, you stand up brave and true. God bless all the rescuers, red, white, and blue.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Lisa. Now Mayor Piccoli will unveil our dedication plaque.
From the mountains. Bye.